Hello, IT Nation. Sean Lardo here, evangelist with my counter evangelist, co-host, actually the main host. I'm the co-host, Matt Topper. We thank you for tuning into another Wise Up podcast, where we are here to talk to people about their journeys, their favorite foods, how they got lucky marrying the right individual that made them a better person in this case. So yes, Matt, how are you today?
I'm doing awesome, Sean. How about you?
I'm doing great. Obviously, we're experiencing technical difficulties with me today, so we're going to make sure that we take it as easy as possible and try to make this work. But yeah, great. It's a 30-degree day today in Pittsburgh. And how is Rochester, dude?
You know, it's about the same. It's about 32 degrees here. It feels colder. I feel like there's a window open here or something, but nice day. Nice, typical gray upstate New York winter.
Gray is nice. It's it's a nice shade. Well, people paint their houses gray, so I feel like the outside for everybody likes that sterile feel. We are very sterile. So
is Pittsburgh like this? Rochester's winters are just like the sky turns gray in November, and you don't see the sun again until March.
Well, we see some sun here and there on those lucky days where somehow Christmas is 70 degrees. So yeah, it is gray. But it's okay though. It makes me feel happier when the sun comes out. I'm more appreciative of it.
Yes. You learn to appreciate the random sunny day, including Christmas, of course. Because white Christmas, no way.
No, it never is. That song is a lie.
Every now and then, yeah.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, we are here to actually not talk to each other because I don't think anybody's that interested in us collectively. But there
Hopefully
are
not.
guests. No, I hope if not. If you are, then you probably should check your social calendar. In the meantime, though, we do have more important people to talk to. We do bring on guests every single time you see an episode. It will be with a guest, but it's not just he and I talking. So, with that said, though, I like to bring our guests on. We actually brought two guests on today on purpose because this is a husband and wife duo that I had the pleasure of meeting. Well, one of them I had the pleasure of meeting. The other one came along with his luggage. And they are an MSP out of not too far from you up in Buffalo there. So they are upstate New York, even though it's not really upstate, it's more west, but who's counting? And, what was impressive about them is they are running an MSP, but they also are doing it within the Apple sector of the business, which is actually becoming a little more popular than, before. It was never like that. Or nobody had a real niche on that. And got a chance to meet them at the ASCII event down in Florida. Then they came down to IT Nation Connect in Florida with us to hang out. And they are currently transitioning where they promoted their son. Their son is, I believe they said he's 26, which we can ask to verify, to be president of the business. So they are transitioning themselves out a bit and actually living their best life. So it is a legacy conversation for sure.
Legacy, entrepreneurial journey, and managed services with Max, which is an interesting conversation in itself. And I will resist the temptation to go deep down the technical road of that. Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, and nobody wants to hear it.
I want to hear it, Matt.
I'm sorry.
So without further ado, let's bring on Garrett and Shawna Cleversley. Hi, guys.
Howdy.
Hey, guys.
How'd the introduction go?
It's hard being the baggage, but I get by.
And it is Western New York. Go Bills.
So it's not New York City, Long Island, and therefore all the rest is upstate.
Shawna, this is the conversation that Matt and I have had over and over. I said, how can you call it upstate? Because to me, upstate means north of New York City when you're west.
We're west.
So you should call it West State New York if you want to, but not upstate.
Western. Upstate is like going towards Adirondacks to us. Upstate.
It's all upstate.
No, you cannot generalize upstate because then it's just confusing. You can even say left side New York if you look at the map. I don't care.
I like that. Let's start calling it left side New York.
I'm cool with that. Thank you, Shawna, for validating and agreeing with me. So, because actually, Matt and I did have this conversation. And he kept insisting. I'm like, no, dude, it's not. Look at the map. So thank you. So while we're talking about geographical locations, that makes you, what NFL team is your favorite team?
Bills.
The Bills.
The Bills.
Okay. Matt, what's your favorite NFL team?
The not Bills.
No. Okay. Matt's favorite team are the spelling bee champions of the NFL. They spell their name every.
They do. Jets see that. And the Ravens took that chant, if you noticed.
Oh, they were an expansion team, so it's not their fault. They got
But yes, big Jets fan, originally from Long Island, so most of us are. We're some Giants fans down there as well. And as usual, the Jets are in the midst of self-destructing yet again. But now that they've been eliminated, a couple wins coming up, of course.
Yeah. Well, can we talk about engaged Josh Allen being the number one quarterback in the history of the world? Because engaged Josh Allen is great.
Nobody would have thought
he's looking good.
Looking good? No, he looks like the greatest ever.
Good.
Not like it is absurd. He should have got engaged 2 years ago when he was falling apart. You guys,
maybe that was his demise. That chick.
If you'd have got engaged a couple years ago, you would have beat KC in the AFC Championship game. I know.
Ooh, brought that up. Ouch.
They have started to say, though, I think it was the end of last year and definitely beginning of this year, that pretty much the Bills are the original New York State team.
Wow.
The only New York State.
Yeah.
How's it like going to Jersey to see your favorite team play?
I don't want to go to Jersey. Also, the new Meadowland, I don't know why you would want to go, but the new Meadowland Stadium, like MetLife, is just the most boring generic stadium in history, right? It just looks like steel cylinder, and that's it. There's no personality. Even when it was Giant Stadium, and it had some personality to it, and now it's nothing.
Come to Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Come to Pittsburgh. Practice Shore. It's the same stadium. It's boring.
If I'm going to Pittsburgh, I'm going to a Pirates game, not a Steelers game.
1,000,000% agree. The Acrisure Heinz Field is a boring stadium. PNC Park is one of the nicest parks in the entire country, legitimately, if not the nicest. It is built in a way where it's still small ball. There's not a bad seat in the house. I've sat in every section, and there's not one seat that is not great, no matter where you sit. It is, and it's a beautiful looking park from the outside to inside. So
I don't even need to see a game. I just want to sit and look at the outfield view.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. If you guys haven't seen pictures ever or looked at it, it's literally you're looking at the. If you're sitting behind, if you're sitting anywhere along the first base line, you're looking out and you see they left it open so you can see the skyline of the city through it. So and the bridge and everything. It's really nice. So
I have been there.
Yeah, but we don't have a good team, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, it just sucks. So anyway, enough of my demise in the Pirates. I've been trying for 30 years. So let's talk about you guys. So, all right, I did have the privilege of meeting you guys at ASCII, and it was really a good time. And Matt, I don't know if we get a chance to tell the story ever, but we can actually reminisce on the story of how we became fast friends.
I've not heard the story.
So, and I honestly, I think like Garrett should tell the story in general because he was so animated, and he obviously doesn't like his kid. So,
You picked off that chant.
All right, now I have to hear this.
Shawna, don't. It's okay. I'm perfectly happy with liking your son. It's Garrett that didn't want him around. I didn't say that. So it was very simple, and I'm going to be done talking after this. The fact is, they came through. I met them. I was at the booth talking to them, and I was like, "Hey, put your card in because they're Screen Connect customers." And Screen Connect was offering a full ride to IT Nation Connect, essentially, for anybody that was pulled from the raffle. And so they were like, so I said, "You guys can come back down to Florida in a couple weeks and hang out with me." And Garrett's like, "Well, I can't because I handed the business off to my son. He's the president. He's gonna have to come down." I was like, "Okay." He goes, so I was like, and he goes, "So if I win, he has to come and Shawna's going to come." And I was like, "Oh," I said, "What if Shawna wins?" He goes, "Well, she's going to come and he's still going to come and I'm going to have to work the store." And I was like, "That's stupid. To hell with your kid." And then that turned into a chant, basically. It was kind of like chanting JETS, but it was like.
It's harder to spell, though.
It wasn't ZACH.
Right. So, and then the best part, Matt, is Jody Hicks was with me from Evolve, and he had to leave early to get his flight. And I was like, and I called him or I texted him, I was like, "Dude, you have the business cards. We didn't draw. So I said, so he goes, I'm in the Uber. I said, like, cool. He goes, I said, just draw now. So he literally draws, he takes a picture. So we had 2 things to give away. And he takes the picture of the business cards and they're like on his leg by his crotch. And I'm like looking at his crotch, like, I'm like, you could have taken a different picture. You could have held the card up in front of you or something. Like you could have held yeah. So, and he ended up drawing them, which was good. And then, so, at the end of the event, we give away the prizes and I call Shawna's name. She won. And you hear Garrett from across the entire room yelling, I'm not bringing my effing son. Yes. It was a proud friend moment for me. I feel like. So and they're good dancers too.
Wow.
Where'd you find this out?
In person. I was there. I witnessed it firsthand. There's pictures to prove it.
Show them later.
That would be the Wise Up Podcast After Dark episode.
That could be the thumbnail for the episode.
Dude, that'd be a good thumbnail.
It's on my phone. It's my screensaver.
Let's put it this way. I had to drop to my knees to take the picture at the right angle. So anyway, enough of me talking now. Let's get to you guys. So, of the 2, who started the business? Who decided to be an MSP?
Yeah, I'm on the other side. You pointed to the wall. It was me.
How did you not know you weren't pointing right?
Yeah, I am.
So for those listening, Shawna pointed the wrong direction. Yes. Okay. So Garrett, or if I'm Shawna, I'm pointing upward, or Garrett downward. What made you decide to be an MSP? It's your business, your baby.
Yeah, I worked at my father's company, which was a graphics design firm. Found out quick, I'm not an artist. I had a lot more fun ripping that stuff apart and make it run better, faster. And so I spun off a consulting firm while working in his company. And that's how we got started.
Nice. Okay. So ripping apart. What do you like to rip apart? What do you like to rip apart exactly? Now I'm curious.
I mean, well, back then, the computers were a lot more modular. So optimizing the systems, I mean, back then was zip drives and SideQuest with 40 megs of space and interfacing with full-size Trump scanners, optimizing the Apple Talk network. Those kind of things were that was my niche. As soon as I started doing that stuff and playing around in the tech IT side, I knew that that's what we had to do.
What was it like going to deciding to go into business for yourself and, trying to get that initial momentum and critical mass going, right? That first client, that first customer.
Yeah. I mean, that's how we spun into buying Mac Solutions Plus almost 25 years ago. I was what's called Apple consultant, part of the ACN network. And I was going out helping people optimize and do things better. But the biggest problem is I couldn't repair because I wasn't authorized. And I couldn't sell because I wasn't authorized. So it was perfect timing for us. There was one local reseller or service provider in town. They just had a partner fight. They were pretty much done. And we made an offer. 8 months later, Apple finally approved the ownership transfer and we bought the authorizations.
That's awesome. So, okay. And we put a questionnaire out to you before we even got on here, and you had made a decision between being a cop and this. And one thing, we have a lot of people that listen to this will be people that are either already entrepreneurs or trying to make a decision to be an entrepreneur. So what was the deciding factor for you to not go one way as opposed to the other?
Luckily for me, I was in the professional ambulance service in the city. So I got to live that life a little bit of running around in 4 feet of snow, trying to, walk a patient half mile down 4 feet of snow, working holidays. At that point, when we made the decision, we had our daughter, son was on the way, and being able to experience it at that point, we weren't ready to buy this company. And I'm like, well, 5 years down the road, do I want to control my father's multi-million-dollar corporation, or do I want to chase people through the snow, get shot at, work all the holidays, etc.? So that's how I ended up giving up the dream of being a police officer and staying with my dad's company, which then turned into a couple years later, us leaving that anyways and starting our own thing.
What's going through your mind when you make a decision like that? I mean, obviously, safe isn't the right word, but stable employment, right? Essentially guaranteed income from that as opposed to the unknown, right? I know a lot of people in our space are thinking about making that jump. And what goes through your head when you say, maybe I should try this out?
It was, because for me, I believed in myself. I knew that I had the skills. I'm really good at it. Obviously, 25 years later, still doing the same thing. So I had confidence in myself, and it was scary. We lived off credit cards for the first 2-3 years. While we got it up and going, so the business that we bought was failing, but luckily within a couple of years, we, more than quadrupled the sales between my clients and their stuff. So it was scary. It was definitely scary for a while, but I believed in myself, and obviously Shawna believed in me because she ended up giving up her daytime job, and we worked the company 6-7 days a week for quite a while.
That's a great segue into that. Shawna, what did you do before this?
So I was a legal secretary. So I worked in law firms. I had a lot of room to move up. I had a 401k and health insurance that paid in full for my childbirths at the hospital and everything. It was very cushy. And I knew what he was up to a bit. And then one day he said, "Hey, I'm buying this company and you're going to quit and come work to me for free."
Wow, that sounds
Just
so
like that, huh?
That sounds so appealing. So working for him is like being married to him. Amazing.
In a nutshell, that's about how the conversation went.
Long hours, no real benefits. Welcome to my marriage.
Yeah. My one question to him though, because I don't know if I'm more of a practicalist, but because I think about feeding children and everything else, I says, what's our out? If this doesn't go well, how do we give it back? And he says, eventually we could just sell it. Okay.
I love the response. Just sell it.
Yeah, I thought, well, I hope when we do that we get our money back. But, obviously 25 years later, we haven't sold it to anybody. So I did have a lot of faith in him. I had to. As you know, Sean, I'm usually up for pretty much any kind of adventure.
Yes. Yes, I do know that.
Sometimes I lead it. Sometimes I follow it.
So that has to, and this is a great dynamic conversation because most of the entrepreneurs you meet in small companies, it becomes a family business regardless of the family, right? It's very often you find where most, the whether it's usually a husband is usually the tech nerd, right? Honestly, it's usually, and the women are like, how did I get myself into this? It's a very common theme, right? And then it ends up where, and Matt's been around this too. So we have our evolve care groups, right? And there's a lot of, we've seen a lot of women become CEOs. The wives have taken over because men want to just geek out. And so the real leader ends up being the wife, which honestly, I feel like you probably are the leader because I watched you. So what is your actual role in the company today?
My actual title is vice president. Pretty much.
What's your real job, not your title?
Yeah.
What is your real responsibility in this company?
If it has to do with admin, talking to people, billing, paperwork, ordering, opening boxes, shipping things, pretty much. Yeah. I'm like the office holder together.
It's all the actual running the business part of running the business.
As well as helping customers when I'm in the store and up front, because we don't let him talk to people too much there.
I just stuff.
So what does Garrett really do then?
He's in his computer a lot.
He's like, I play solitaire and World of Warcraft. I'm really good. My tag name is love Discord. So exactly. So you're essentially the CEO of the company. Just don't have the title.
Just don't have the big name on it.
It doesn't matter though, right?
No.
Okay. And so now enter your son that's in this business.
Mm-hmm.
what made you guys,
25,
again, 'cause
not
this is a
26.
late, okay, see, I was close. See, I remember I was like somewhere around there. So, one thing that we talk about often is legacy. And you even said it yourself, what's the out, right? Everybody goes into business. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you're out, right?
Mhm.
And which way you want to get out, because you don't maybe know. Like you said, are you selling it? But now you're not, obviously. What made you guys determine, and how did your son get involved in this?
Well, all three kids, we had three. All of them had the opportunity to work here. My daughter lives about an hour away, so she had to get a real job closer to her with her kids and benefits and things like that. And my younger child is more of the artist, rock and roll star. So Zach, who's here, they've all been with us. I mean, since he could walk, he was turning screws in the back and taking things apart. So even though he's only 25, he's been with me well over a decade and working here pretty much full time since he was 16. So he's got 9 years of real employment and probably another 5 just, being here, learning, doing it. And he's got the exact same tech mind I have. And so we sat down maybe a year ago.
Yeah.
We had the conversation that, we're about on a 5-year exit. We have 2 choices here and you don't have to make up your mind today. I said, either we're going to build it in the direction you want, maintaining all the Apple authorizations, because that's what got us through for 25 years, or B, I'm building it to sell it. So we thought about it and came back and he decided that he wanted it. So he got married this year. So for his wedding present, I gave him 10% of the company and told him the rest is my retirement.
That's awesome. Congratulations. And so what are the expectations here then? You said you're on a 5-year exit.
Yeah, it's really.
I feel like you've already, to be clear, looking at your Facebook, I feel like you've already exited because you're having your best life.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's only for a little while at a time.
I call myself the 0.5 employee because really on a daily basis, we need 3 people in the store, 2.5, so I'm the half a person. And we actually just had this conversation at the bar the other night about what it's going to look like. I'm like, I just sort of transitioned out of my dad's. I've never transitioned a company over. So we're going to figure it out together, start bringing your pay up, start bringing my pay down, talk to the lawyers. What's the best way to, transfer ownership to you free and clear of any previous anything. We don't have anything, but, having experience in the business world, if it's just transferred and by God, something happens, I want to make sure he's taken over free and clear. So I don't 100% know. He already works here 6 days a week. I'm already maybe 4 or 5 hours a day. Yesterday, our other business we started, I was out the entire day because we had to deliver 150 pounds of food for a catering gig. So the time I was done with that.
I want to get into that in a minute too. I was already wanting to get there, but yes. Go ahead, Matthew.
Do you see it generally going in the same direction in the transition? Is this a continuation of the existing business model, or is he adding services? If you can say.
Yeah, he'll be adding services. I mean, I'm both PC and Mac, but the Mac world to me is just where my happy place is. So our MSP is probably 99% Mac. He's got a huge PC background with the servers at his house and building things. So we spun up Sasquatch custom PCs for him, and he's definitely going to lead headlong into the, the PC side of the MSP, because we both know it. Why leave money on the table? And he's going to go after that too. But yeah, we'll never give up the Apple authorizations. It, like I said, it made us 25 years later, loving life.
So both my son and my husband would love to just sit with their faces and computers in the back room all day long. Yes. We do have another employee at the time, but my son has said that his wife is actually impressed that she would like to eventually join the company. So we both had words of caution to think long and hard about that. Be married for a little bit first and make sure you can live with her before you want to work with her.
That's great advice to the rest of the world listening. Yes. Make sure you like each other and can work together in your home before you worry about that. And so that kind of takes me to a question for you, Shawna. What's going to be the future for you of doing this then too? Because as Garrett pulls away from parts of it, that your son, if your son's like Garrett, so he's naturally going to evolve and work in the same things that he does. What are you going to do?
So I still go in 2 days a week. I like to do Monday and Friday because we're closed Sunday, but we're open Saturday. So Monday kind of, takes what happened over the weekend when I wasn't there, gets it ready for the week. Fridays, I can get everything prepared for the weekend for the next week, banking, all that sort of stuff. Those are the days I like to be there. And then, I can do a lot of my other stuff, orders, emails, all that sort of stuff actually from home. So 3 days a week, technically I work from home. I have sort of spun up a side like admin business. I have looked for and found and helped some people remotely do admin services and that, just because it's my strong point. Being a legal secretary, like way back many years ago, one of the courses was this huge, Word, PowerPoint, Excel. So I'm what they call the Excel queen in our business. I actually train people on how to use Excel. So, admin's very strong for me. So I've been doing a little bit of that. And I actually have talked to somebody recently about possibly getting into some travel agency stuff. So basically, I'm looking for things I can do, whether we're home or not home. If we're out and about on the road, I can still do it. And I can still bring in some other money. My car's almost paid off, things like that. It's like my income that I get from the company, like he said, for my son, I can really transition out probably even sooner than Garrett, because I'm working on spinning up some other stuff. They're still going to give us plenty of our leisure time that we want to do and the traveling that we want to do. And if I'm a travel agent, there'll be a lot of perks for that. I'm finding out. But yeah, that's what we're looking, I'm trying to get him. I've had more free time in the past and with my children to do some things over life. But because he's pretty much always had to be in the business for 20 some years, there's a lot of family trips he didn't take, a lot of kids events he didn't make it to. So I'm trying to force him to have more fun than more business in life.
It's a hard habit to break. I come here every day.
You know what?
Yeah.
Yes, I think we can all relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
We had this conversation with, so there was a different co-host with Matt. Vicky Bruns had done this for the first 18 months with him, and we're transitioning me coming on to do it with him now. And we just did our transition episode that we recorded. And we were talking about work-life balance. And she's like, oh, it exists. I was like, I don't think it exists really, because I think it's based off of what your passion is, like what you love. And I always loved building businesses. So to me, that was life. I enjoyed it. But then all of a sudden you're like, what's your hobby? And when your hobby is your work, it's like, so your work is your work and your hobby is your work. I never had a hobby.
That's sort of funny. My big hobby just became a business.
Well, yeah, the catering. So the barbecue catering business,
you wouldn't expect him to completely retire, right?
Yeah, no, I want to hear about this.
So do I, because I want to be part of it in my life. I want that. So what made you? How long ago did you guys decide to launch that?
And what is it more specifically? Like, all we know is it's barbecue related.
Yeah, I've been barbecuing for 30 years. It's always been my happy place. So over 30 years, we've accumulated a ton of smokers. I may have 8 or 9 that we do. We've always been doing it for friends and family and et cetera. But we want to I'm like, this is really fun. I'm really good at this. And really in the end, I just want to give people great food, because when are you catering? Holiday parties, family parties, I just want to enhance their experience and have a great day and things like that. So I think it was about 6 months ago, we're like, hey, why don't we make this legitimate and get permits and a truck and all this other stuff? And we just sort of fell into it. Food trucks cost $60,000. One 4th of July, we jump on the motorcycle and we found a food truck for $3,000.
My Lord.
Wow.
So we towed it home for 50 miles. It was a lot of fun. And for $80 in parts, we fixed it. So we just been really lucky in that aspect. Picked up a truck cheap. We just picked up, I watched Facebook Marketplace forever and picked up a $9,000 smoker for $2,500. So we're in this for very little money up front, because I invested it over the past 30 years. And it's fun. It's mayhem when you're trying to get 160 pounds of food together and get delivered nice and hot. But
yeah. Okay. So let's This is a great question, a great topic. How do you determine to go in on something like this? Like you mentioned, upfront cost. People fail miserably in businesses because they don't anticipate what the real startup cost really looks like, right? And if you weren't fortunate and found that truck, you would have spent, in order for you to realize this, you would have spent 60 grand, and then whatever else for the smoker, another 9. So you'd have been in for about approximately anywhere between 50 and 70 grand.
The truck would have come later. We weren't in
Right.
the market for the truck. It just showed up, and we went, how can we pass that up?
So you're saying you have to be agile in your approach.
Yeah, and patient. I mean,
Yep.
that's really what it came down to for us. It's like that smoker hit marketplace, and we did a couple big events, and with the 7 smokers, it was fine, but this could handle 240 pounds of meat at once. And it's like, if we're really gonna do a 150 people event, we need to start considering, for ease of life, a little bit better, one better piece of equipment. So we were just patient. We didn't really think about a food truck, and that popped up. The smokers sat there for 6 weeks, and I'm just like, I don't know. And then we got a big job. I'm like, well, let's take the money from the big job and go get the smoker.
I like that.
How did you launch this? Did you just put out ads? Did people ask you after, eating something you made, like they came over? How'd you get the word out that you were now doing this as a business?
That's about what it came down to. Is my friend owns a bar, and we did a lot. We did his anniversary party for him. We did all the food, 'cause I just wanted him to enjoy his party. So I'm like, I got all the food, dude. And Sundays we have family days at the bar. He's always live music, so I cook all day long, and friends of the bar, and I give it to everybody, and everyone's always like, you really need to do this as a living. It's like, you need to do this as a living. I'm like, well, I already have a living, but you know what? Let's give it a shot. And we were doing so much because I just gave so much away. I don't know. It sounds weird, but people are happy when they eat great food.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want to do here. I want to fix their stuff, make them happy. When I was a firefighter for 32 years, helping those people at the worst times. And now for me, it's food, because it enhances their life and enhances their experience.
Would you say for both businesses, part of the success is because of your guys' intertwined community engagement? Because you are essentially, you're helping your buddy at the bar that has all the customers, so they end up meeting you anyway. You're volunteer firefighting, so you're meeting all the people there too. Because if you're like my volunteer firefighter down the street, they all just stand outside and drink coffee and smoke cigarettes. Until something happens. So they talk to everybody that walks by. So like everybody. They're like the mayor of my area. So would you attribute like your guys' investment engagement into your own community to be part of the success of growing your business?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we part of the fire department. So between the meetings, the fundraisers, going with drilling with other people, I was president of the local motorcycle club. So we're always out doing, meeting. I mean, she's way better at that I am. I get why didn't you introduce me? I'm like, because I don't remember their name. So I always have to have her by my side to, she's the diplomat. I'm the straightforward, sort of like Sean, tell you like it is, which is why they keep me back at the store.
It's funny. They put me in front. It's the weirdest thing, right? Shawna, what do you think about this? It's a lot to take on. So, I mean, because let's unpack that. Like, okay, so here's a new business. You both are looking at doing new business. Are you going to help Garrett with this other business?
First of all, this new business, this one's in my name.
So you have to. Look, that's so smart, Garrett. You totally suckered her again. Good job.
Also, the name of it is, can I say it? Is Angry Moose Barbecue. The name came, so my family nickname given to me by my stepfather many years ago, and it's a very endearing term, is Moose. And so I have a huge collection of Moose things in my house. And he has all those smokers. Unfortunately, for his 40th birthday, bought him his very first $1,200 ceramic smoker. So I'm blaming myself. I apologize.
Oh, the dogs.
Yeah. So that's kind of what started out. It's really my fault. But for Father's Day, some of my children that I like and some that I don't like showed up with this Toby Hine barrel smoker he had been looking at, and I thought he was joking around with everybody, and they showed up with it, and I thought he had them go buy it for him, and I was not a happy person. I did find out later that that was their Father's Day gift to him, and they actually bought it for him. So I'm in the back entertaining all the parents, the grandparents on the back patio, and all people out front drinking beer, cooking meat. So I go out to see what's happening, and he's riding this like 6-foot barrel smoker, holding a beer. And I said, "Where did that come from?" And nobody said a word. They all just looked at me. And so the look on my face was caught on the Ring doorbell. He says, "Well, the name of the company is now Angry Moose." So
that is
I have a lot in this company, yes. But he does,
you're like the identity of the company, Shawna. You're the whole identity of this.
but he does all the meats. I help him. I follow direction very well-ish. But I do like a lot of the sides. Like mac and cheese has been my family thing forever. My children have lived and grown up homemade mac and cheese. We've done craft, sure, but my parents was homemade mac and cheese. My mom was always a homemade cooker, so that kind of came along, and I've just perfected a recipe that can hang, for delivery and things like that. So cheesy potatoes, mac and cheese, those kind of dishes, those are all on me. Salt potatoes. I just ate 100 pounds of salt potatoes yesterday. I mean, I had 4 stock pots going on my stove,
I'm so hungry.
So yeah.
Right?
So yeah, he does a lot of outside. I do a lot of inside, and then we all come together and get it all together, pack it up, pull the pork, do the chicken, wrap it up, stick it in the coolers, and then get in this giant food truck in 30 degrees and drive it and deliver it.
Nice. Yeah, I'm hungry.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It's a problem.
Yeah. I try not to eat as much as we cook.
Yeah, it's a problem. So you're okay. So, but the whole travel agency thing, by the way, we'll talk offline about that because that sounds fantastic. Because I want to, you can book my trips for me. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm horrific at this. Okay, so what's the future look like other than you're going to exit out of this and you guys are going to live your best lives doing all these other things? What's the expectations for the son then running the business?
Yeah, I mean, he wants to take it on. You have to understand him too. He was number 4 in his graduating class. He had a full ride to Clarkson University for all 4 years. He went for a year and a half and came home one time and said, "I don't think I'm going to go back. I'm bored. They're not teaching me anything new, and I feel like I'm wasting my time and people's money." So when he said, "Well, what are you going to do when you come home?" And he says he was going for computer science. And so that's, the coding and everything else. And he just has, since working in our company, definitely since he was a teenager, more and more, and watching his father and learning from him and just staring at his computer, seeing what he's doing. Excuse me. That's how he's, he's just him. He's his brain. But that's what he gave up. He could have had a very lucrative corporate job somewhere. And he did not want it. He wanted to come home and he wanted to follow in his dad's footsteps. So he's got, the push to do that. And like he said, we asked him if this is what you want to do. And he said, yeah. So, he's just going to have to learn a little bit of the business side, I think, from Garrett. And aside from that, he's not going to have any problems. He knows what he's doing. It's
sure.
So you guys have, you started or took over this business. We have a lot of people listening, I hope, who have started down the same road, right? What's something that didn't go well, or what's something that you had to overcome when you started this out, right? Not everything was all rosy from day one. Give us a story or give us an instance of something that you had to deal with or get through as you started this out, either in the mac or barbecue business.
Well, the Mac business was obviously starting out with, 25 years ago, I was about 25-ish, starting a business at a young age with, I didn't have a savings. I didn't have anything. And then asking her to give up her job. So the toughest thing is, starting out really with not a lot of cash and figuring it out, which is also a driving force for me because, well, guess what? I'm sure we accelerated a lot faster because I had kids to feed, a mortgage to pay, and everything else. So that was the scariest thing at the start for the Mac business. The barbecue, it was more getting through what the health department wanted us to do, and we, my good friend that owns the bar, because we have a food truck, we have to have what's called a commissary. So he's our home kitchen. That's where we do all our stuff. And with that partnership, we got permitted. So, I mean, probably from that aspect, it was just getting through the right hoop that the health department wanted so we could do this legitimately. Mm-hmm. That's not really scary. It's just, how.
That's just extra
annoying.
work.
Yeah.
Little known fact, little known fact is I owned a hot dog cart at one point in my life. Because my kids kept asking for money. Yes, my kids kept.
I didn't know that.
I love hot dogs, and I have older daughters, and they kept asking for money. And I was like, you know what? I'm tired of giving you money. We're gonna go buy a cart. And I knew a guy selling a cart. I bought it for a couple grand. It's a cart you towed, and I had them start working the hot dog cart. That led into all the pain in the ass stuff from OSHA and everything else, right? And I ended up buying and building a shed in my backyard for my commissary. and it was like I ran electricity out to it. I put a stand up fridge and freezer in it, and that's all they cared about. And as long as you had a place, a way to wash dishes with 2 sinks or 3 sinks rather, right? Yep. The 3 sink requirement.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Another little known fact: Sean in the last episode said he wanted to be in a hot dog eating contest.
I did.
Oh.
I did. I'm gonna start training.
Oh.
The holidays are a good time to start that, I feel like.
Yeah. I can add a little bit. So in our obviously long-term business, the barbecue, like you said, is in a lot of trouble. So there's not much there, but probably halfway through our, business owning, because another part of owning a company is, unless you pay for it, you don't have a good health insurance option. 15, 20 years ago, health insurance was a lot different than now with marketplace and things like that. We thankfully had like a chamber of commerce where you could get a decent rate, but we had 3 children. We had to have family plans and everything. And 2 of my boys played hockey. There was no option not to have any health insurance. So it became really expensive. And then also some other things, like you said, you want extra money. The kids need extra money. Hockey's $1,000 a person season, So I did step out a little bit for a couple of years from the company to get another corporate job. It allowed me not only to have top-notch health insurance for us for a while at a much, much lower rate, because I didn't care about really the money that I was making. It was more about getting that coverage. So I was high level, letting the company that I worked for pay for that. But it was enough that I actually saved up and at 40, bought my very first brand new car, carried health insurance for us to help with paid for the kids stuff for a while. I did it for a couple of years. And then I finally says to him, you know what? I'm tired of answering to other people. And at the time, the really great friend of ours who became a great friend, who was the store manager for him, had 2 babies, and she decided to leave also. So it was another opening for me to transition back in. I never stopped helping him, obviously, and my kids were always there in that, but it gave us that little bit extra for a while. And then I was able to COBRA insurance for a while again until we could really find another more effective and affordable option for insurance. So those are some things. If you're going to be self-employed, you really got to look at your options on where to get the best type of things like that.
I love that. And so essentially you've had to come in and out of the business. And it sounds like more so because of peace of mind.
A lot of times, safety.
The benefits of things. Like you said, I have children, so I totally understand not wanting to worry about the benefit part, to make sure they're taken care of, make sure everybody's safe and secure. Because that way, you see a lot of businesses fail because it's easier to go get their regular paycheck and know that they got benefit. And you mentioned it earlier, Shawna, the 401k and pensions and stuff and especially during probably more so our generation even. Because it was all pension based at one point, right? You hear all the stories of all the manufacturers, the line workers that got great paychecks and great pensions. I'm tired of hearing that. I haven't seen that ever in my life. But our parents all went through that era of steel mills, car manufacturing, coal mines, and everything else that was the big business. And it's a hard changeover, I feel like, and it's probably one of the scariest things for most people as well to make that bump.
My parents are both teachers, so they had New York State pensions when they retired. Their insurance went forever. So I saw, that's going to be really easy when I get later in life. Until you give that up.
Yeah.
That's so okay. But so with that then, and I'll let Matt ask the questions. I'm done talking. Go ahead, Matt.
So we have one more question. We always end the show with this particular question. And that is, if you could give our listeners, our viewers, potentially people thinking of going into business for themselves, a piece of advice in the form of what is one habit that they should either adopt or one that they should drop? What should they start or stop doing if they think they might be going down this road?
And can I add a caveat to this too, considering you guys are on here? I feel like, and Shawna, you brought this in when you said about your son's wife. I think it's both professional and personal at this point, considering the dynamic of the business. Mm-hmm. So, so let's go. Let you guys go. I don't care whoever wants to go first.
For me, it's.
I think you had an answer first.
Yeah, it's eyes wide open. Especially in a husband-wife business and your family's in here, knowing. What we know now, she mentioned earlier, I missed a lot of vacations because it was us. We didn't take vacations for the first few years because it was us. So really having your plan, believing in yourself and eyes wide open of what it's really going to take, both professionally and personally, your family time, Sean, you mentioned earlier, life balance. It's really just understanding the entire 360-degree scope of what it's going to take. And it's going to be scary and you're going to be anxious. But if you believe in yourself and your eyes are wide open, it took us a while to get to that point, to not get knocked down every time we had a big bill due or something. It was just believing that we were going to do it. And, quite honestly, we got outside help. We brought in a sales consultant and a business consultant once we felt we're at that point that we needed to refocus. And I credit the lady we brought in, Laura Posey, with really refocusing our business and taking the next step forward. So it's also ask for outside help if you need it.
Yeah, I could completely echo him. And it's not necessarily like a habit. I mean, obviously, again, husband-wife teams, I think not even that you need to let go control, but you need to really lean on each other. Know that there's somebody there who's on your side who can help you. You just because your name's on it or whatever, you're not the only one, that can do everything. You can definitely ask for help if you don't want outside help. If you're not that type of person who wants to involve other people, who better than your spouse that you live with that knows everything going on to ask and bounce things and ideas off of. Like he said, eyes wide open, like kind of do your research, know your roadmap, know what your end wants to be, know how to get there and ask for help how to get there. We also, a long time ago, were in a mentor group, and it's, that sharing of things, whether it's business things or even personal things, find a confidant, find a person also too that you can lean on business wise. It's, you can't do it all alone, even though it's your company, whether you have 100 employees or 5 employees. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, just get used to, and again, even if his wife doesn't come work with him, you can go home and talk to her and bounce ideas off of her and loop them in so that you're never dealing with it all completely by yourself, because your life balance will be shot and that will weigh on you and take you down faster than anything if you keep that stress all on yourself.
I heard a line the other day and from what you're saying, sounds like this, and it was, you don't always have to agree on everything to the ultimate, right? But you have to both agree that you're willing to live with it. It might be Garrett's idea and he's into it and you're like, but you then at the end, you have to come to some sort of reconciliation of, you know what, I don't agree fully, but I know that I can live with this decision and work with it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's what that sounds like when you're saying that too, because the fact is that partnership is exactly it. So, I love that. Matt, anything else you want?
No, I think that's the highlight. You can condense the entire thing almost into those tips or habits for people who are thinking of starting their own business or making that jump. Pay close attention to what Shawna and Garrett just said if you hear nothing else from this.
Absolutely. All right. I think that's like a wrap for us, right?
That is a wrap.
It's like Confucius.
And don't listen to the stuff Shawna and I said. Listen to those info.
Yeah, right. We're just the talking heads on this podcast. So thank you guys. I really appreciate this. This is great. I hope that people that are considering going to business, especially like the husband-wife duos, or even with bringing their kids in or whatever it is, pay attention to that, because it's a hard racket. It's a hard racket alone. It's even harder when family's involved.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, when you think about it, when all three of my kids were here, it's like not only the stress of the business, but the stress of, well, shit, if this doesn't go well, then 5 of us are unemployed.
Yeah.
We're all in the travel business. Can't wait.
Luckily, it's down to 3 are unemployed.
It can also be very, very rewarding. We've had a lot of fun over the years having them all with us. And, even now when we're all in the office, lunch becomes kind of just a goof show most of the time. And it's also good. Very good.
I love that. Matthew?
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, guys. I really appreciate all the insights, and thank you for everyone who tuned in and listened. And we will see you next episode.
Thanks. Take care.
Guys.
Thank you.
All righty. Bye-bye.